Manchester United are set to submit new second bids for Mazraoui and De Ligt this week. Massive week ahead in relation to outgoings, with the futures set to be decided for Wan-Bissaka, Christian Eriksen, McTominay, Hannibal and Pellistri, and the latest on all of our transfer news going in as well. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're now less than 100 subscribers away from 35,000. So if this is your first time watching, please do go and subscribe. Make sure to get involved. Right, let's jump straight on into it, because I want to start off the show by saying that the Manchester United players are now back in Manchester. I think they flew back on Sunday night, so they're all back in Manchester now. Apparently they're going to have 2 days off, so we won't see any of the people who were on the pre-season tour in training today. But apparently Mainu, Martinez, Luke Shaw, they'll all be back today in first team training. So obviously we've got this massive game on Saturday. I think people have forgotten about that. We've got the Community Shield on Saturday, and I know people are like, some people are like, oh, I don't care about the Community Shield, blah, blah, blah. I think it's important. I really, really do. But maybe that's just me. I want to win this trophy. I know it's a shield, not a trophy, but I want to win this and start the season in the right way. And I think that beating Man City in the Community Shield will be a massive statement of intent. You can already see the headlines being written after Manchester United lost 3-0 to Liverpool in a meaningless pre-season game with probably 90% of our team missing. There was already journalists saying that Erik ten Hag should be sacked, and saying that Manchester United had made the wrong decision. Those were the headlines actually written. Sky Sports were saying it, TalkSport were saying it. There were pundits out there after that game reacting, saying that Erik ten Hag should be sacked. I mean, it's literally laughable. So just for morale, mentality, to win that game against Man City will definitely set us off on the right foot for the season. Will we be able to do it? I don't know. It's going to be very difficult, but obviously we have to have faith. But the point I'm making here is that most of the players are now back in Manchester, and all of these players that are expected to leave, we're going to go through all of the players that are expected to leave. I'm going to give you the updates on every single one of them. And I'm also going to give you a rating out of 10 on how likely I think that they will leave, just because I want to try and, make it a little bit more, because some of these players aren't going to leave, is what I'm saying. Some will leave, some won't, and I'm going to do a rating system so we can kind of work out whether we actually think these people are going to leave. So let's just jump straight on into that then, shall we? Let's start with McTominay. He can be the first one. So we all know that Fulham submitted a bid last week of £20 million plus £3 million in add-ons for Scott McTominay. Manchester United are apparently demanding £25 million plus 5 in add-ons, £30 million total package. The general understanding is that McTominay to Fulham will happen. This is a deal which I would say 8 or 9 out of 10. 8 or 9 out of 10 will happen, I think. I'd be very, very surprised if McTominay doesn't end up leaving. Manchester United need to sell McTominay in order to buy Manuel Ugarte, apparently, which I know is going to frustrate some people, but that's the situation that we're in. We need to sell to buy. And I know a lot of people are scratching their heads saying, why do we need to sell to buy? I thought we had loads of money, but money doesn't really matter anymore. When you've got the wage bill that we've got, which is one of the biggest in the league, and you have the debt that we've got, it limits what we can do in the market. So what Ineos are trying to do at the moment is bring the wages down, okay? And that is what they're doing. They're bringing that wage bill down. And so far it is working. This summer so far, we've removed about £50 million worth of wages from our yearly wage bill, which is a hell of a lot of money. It was about a quarter of our wages gone. That was from people like Varane leaving, Martial, Greenwood, Donny van de Beek. Some of those players were on massive, massive wages. So they are doing a good job in that department, and I'm not going to criticise them on that, because I think, it's going to be a 3-4 window project before we're at a place where we're 100% happy with our team. And I know some people watching today expected this summer to be 10 signings, all of them world class. And I get it, it's frustrating. It has been quite a frustrating window, but I think we have to, show some appreciation to the work that Ineos have done so far in getting rid of players. There's still a long, long way to go, don't get me wrong. So McTominay's the first one. I think McTominay will go. There is a general understanding that apparently McTominay would be willing to leave. Apparently he would get a pay increase at Fulham. That's what's been reported. He would be a starting midfielder at Fulham. So when you add all of these bits together, it makes a lot of sense for him to move on. He's got 1 year left of his contract. Manchester United apparently are willing to give him a new deal, which I don't personally agree with. At the age of 28, I think he is now, a new 4-year contract for McTominay. That doesn't show me of a team that want to progress and want to get into the top 4 and maybe win leagues in the future years. Because let's be honest, McTominay isn't. I don't think he's a title-winning midfielder, is he? I think McTominay could play in like a team that's maybe somewhere between 8th and 15th, you know? Like he's not bad, but I don't think he's particularly good. But so McTominay to Fulham, 25 to 30 million pounds is the asking price. Apparently Fulham will come back in with a new bid this week, so that deal should happen. Let's just hope and pray that McTominay does actually want to go there. Let's hope that he's not like, oh, I'd rather just stay at Manchester United. I'm happy here. That would be really disappointing, but it could happen. So yeah, that's the first one. The next player on the list is Hannibal Mejbri. He will definitely leave this summer. At the moment, the 2 clubs that are interested in him are Celtic and Rangers. So we're just waiting to see how that one kind of pans out. Apparently, the asking price for him is about 5 to 10 million euros, which isn't a lot of money, but it still will help. You know, that still will get us some way towards a new signing. So Hannibal to Rangers or Celtic. I would be absolutely shocked if Hannibal's still a Manchester United player at the end of this transfer window. I would be honestly shocked. He's got 1 year left of his contract. Manchester United don't want to give him a new deal. Obviously, he's been out on loan for like the last 2 years. He was at Birmingham. He was at Sevilla. Neither of those loans really worked for him. It's time for him to move on. So he looks like he will go. Next one up is Victor Lindelof. So the news around Lindelof is that apparently Fenerbahce still want to sign Lindelof. Lindelof apparently is interested to leave because effectively he's not going to get game time next season. If we sign De Ligt, it will be Martinez, De Ligt and Lenny Yoro as the kind of first choice options. Then it will be Maguire and Johnny Evans as the backups. And then you've also got Luke Shaw, who can cover at left-sided centre-back. So Lindelof's time at Manchester United is coming to an end, really. He's on big wages. He's got 1 year left of his contract. There's no new contract on the horizon for him. So to sell him at this point makes the most sense. Transfer fee-wise, we're looking at around 15 million euros for Lindelof. So to give you a little roundup of what we said, McTominay, we'll do it all in euros because I think that makes it easier. Euros for McTominay, 35 million. Hannibal, 10 million euros. And Lindelof, 15. So across those 3 players, we're talking 60 million euros, which is pretty amazing when you think that all 3 of those guys only have 1 year left on their deals. And all 3 of those players are surplus to requirements. So, yeah, I'm happy about that. I think those 3 definitely should be moving from the club this summer. And then the next one on the list is Jadon Sancho. I actually personally think Jadon Sancho is going to stay because there was a report that came out a couple of days ago from The Athletic saying that apparently Erik ten Hag might play Jadon Sancho as a false 9 this season. Obviously, Højlund's injured, so we only have 1 striker again. The only option we have as a striker is Joshua Zirkzee. That's it. I know we've got this Chido Obi Martin guy, but he is still only 16. I don't think Manchester United were expecting Chido Obi Martin to be starting every game for Man United. So apparently Erik ten Hag is going to try Jadon Sancho as a false 9 because we have so little options in that area. Højlund's out for supposedly a minimum of 6 weeks. So he'll be out for 6 weeks. And then it's not like he's going to immediately be able to start games after 6 weeks. It will take probably 2 or 3 weeks of him to slowly build up momentum and fitness. So I imagine that Højlund will probably be out for longer than 6 weeks, you know? Like he won't be able to start and play 90 minutes probably for at least 8-10 weeks maybe. So yeah, we desperately need options in that area. Obviously, Jadon Sancho has played as a false 9 before. I think he's quite good in that position because he opens up space around him, which can be quite clinical. And then the other report on that same story was that apparently Bruno Fernandes might be played as a false 9 for the first kind of few months of this season. Because the thing you have to remember is, right, Xerxes never even played a game for Man United yet. The season starts next week. So to throw Xerxes in immediately, I mean, I know some players come in and hit the ground running, but what if he doesn't? You need to have options in that attacking area. And if Manchester United get rid of Jadon Sancho, then the only option they would have as a false 9 would be Bruno, who's better as a cam. So there's lots of problems here that they need to get their head around. But at the moment, I don't think Jadon Sancho is going to leave. I really don't, because there isn't that many people who want to sign him. And from the clubs who do want to sign them, most of them don't have very much money. You know, Juventus are saying, we'll do a loan. Dortmund are saying, we'll do a loan. And I think the point that we're at now, we've got 2 signings so far this summer. One of them's injured and the other one is Martial's replacement, pretty much. Xerxes was Martial's replacement, right? And Højlund's now injured. So when you look at our attacking options in relation to the strikers, we're in the same position we were last year, realistically, because Xerxes replaced Martial and Højlund's now injured. So we had 1 striker last season and we have now 1 striker this season. Does that make sense? Obviously, Højlund will be back at some point, but the point I'm making here is, what happens if Xerxes gets injured now? I know you've got this Chido Obi Martin guy, but at 16, I honestly don't think you can have him starting games. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think Chido Obi Martin is going to be more of like a bench player who gets, a few minutes here and there. That's my understanding of the situation. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys all think about that one. We've got over 1,000 people watching the show live now, but we've only got 130 likes. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on today's video. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're only 98 subscribers away from 35k now. So please go and subscribe now. Let's get to 35k by the end of today's live stream. There must be people out there who aren't subscribed, so go and do that right now. It's completely free to join. No money is involved. Yeah, go and do that now. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that, so make sure you subscribe. Okay. David says, I've got a question. Do you think Jadon Sancho will be welcomed back at Old Trafford? I won't be welcoming him back. I think the first game, there will definitely be a bad, people won't be happy about it, Of course, in that first game. But I think over time, Jadon will be welcomed back. It all depends on attitude and how he applies himself. If he comes back and he's sulking around the pitch and he's not putting in effort, then the mood at Old Trafford will be absolutely horrible towards him. It'll be very, very hostile, But if he comes back and he gives 150% and he starts getting goals and assists, I think he'll be welcomed back. That's my take on it anyway. But I think to just 100% say that he's not going to be ever welcomed back is, I don't know. I think it all depends on the circumstances, doesn't it? Like if Rashford scores 30 goals this season, people are going to, those of you who hate him will be loving him again. Football is a very reactive sport, isn't it? Like if Jadon Sancho scores a hat-trick against Man City on the weekend in the Community Shield, I'm sure all will be forgiven, Maybe not all, but most. So will he be welcomed back? I don't know. Some people will, some people won't. It's all down to personal opinion. What I will say is this. I think Manchester United fans can forgive, but I don't think they'll forget. They won't forget what Jadon Sancho did last season, and they won't forget his behaviour. And yeah, that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong though. Right, what else have we got here? Somebody in the chat saying, what about Wheatley? Isn't he available? I think Wheatley's going to go out on loan, mate. I don't think he's part of the plans for this season. People are saying we need to get rid of Casemiro. I mean, Casemiro would be high up on my list of players that need to be sold. He would be very, very high up. But yeah, it's just not realistic, to be honest. There is only one country or one league in the world that would buy Casemiro, and that's the Saudi League. And as it stands at the moment, there isn't anybody in the Saudi League trying to buy Casemiro. No one else is going to buy him. He's on 350k a week, which is absolutely ridiculous. He's earning double the wages he was earning at Real Madrid, right? Bear in mind that when he was at Real Madrid, they were winning the Champions League. They won the Champions League 3 times in a row. And they were paying him half as much as what Manchester United are paying him now. And we finished 8th and are playing Europa League next season. So yeah, we've shot ourselves in the foot there with Casemiro. Did he have a good first season? Yes. But last season was awful. I think he's looked pretty average in the friendly games on the pre-season tour. So yeah. But in short, those of you saying sell Casemiro, you can only sell when there's a buyer. And at the moment, there isn't a buyer for Casemiro. If later on in the window, a buyer comes in, I'm sure Manchester United will move him on. But as it stands, at the point of recording this video, there is no links with Casemiro leaving. Amnat says, Kieran, what's your ideal squad this season? Mention 2 players for each position. Oh, that's a hard one. Okay, I'll do it really, really quickly. You can let me know what yours is as well in the comments. Let's just do a starting 11. I don't want to do backups and stuff. So goalkeeper, Onana. Left back, I'm doing Luke Shaw. Left-sided centre-back, Martinez. Right-sided centre-back, Lenny Yoro. Right back, Diogo Dalot. I'm doing a midfield three of Mainu, Bruno, and Ugarte. Left wing, I'm going with either Garnacho or Rashford. I can't pick. Striker, I'm going with Højlund or Xerxes again. I can't pick. And right wing, I'm going with Ahmad. That would be my starting 11 for this season. That would be mine. But you can let me know what yours are in the comments. I don't think we'll get any more signings than that in the first team. Like, I think we'll get Mazraoui, we'll get De Ligt, and we'll get Ugarte. That would be my prediction. So it would be 3 more signings. But let's move on to some signings then. Let's try and bring some positivity into the show this morning, because there has been lots and lots of updates since we spoke last night. And the headline this morning coming up from Fabrizio Romano is that Manchester United are set to bid again for Mazraoui and Matthias de Ligt. He says that United have informed both players that they will be bidding again, and Bayern Munich are also aware. He says movement is expected in the next few days. The de Ligt and Mazraoui deals are going to happen. Very, very likely. I would be absolutely shocked if they don't happen. Like, Manchester United have been negotiating with those 2 players for, well, de Ligt since probably May, and we're now in August. Like, we've literally been negotiating with de Ligt, I reckon, for 12 weeks. And we've had an interest in Mazraoui for years. Before he even joined Bayern Munich, we were interested in him. So we have a very long-standing interest in both of these players. The problem is the fee. Bayern Munich wants £60 million combined for the 2 players, which I actually think is quite fair, to be honest. If you look at it like this, right? Mazraoui's market value, if you look on Transfer Market, which is generally pretty accurate, I think. Like, if you look at, you know, the options there. So Mazraoui on Transfer Market is valued at 30 million. 26 years of age. I would say that's probably right. 30 million. And de Ligt's market value on Transfer Market is about 60 million, I believe. Let me just double check that for you. So I think if you think 30 million for Mazraoui, yeah, de Ligt's market value is 65 million euros. And we're going to get them both for 70 million euros combined. 60 million pounds or 70 million euros. That's the asking price. So I don't think it's an unfair asking price. I think Manchester United just need to see it more like 30 million for Mazraoui, pounds, and then 30 million for de Ligt, 60 million combined. Like, and I think if you word it like that, people wouldn't be that upset about it, would they? It's only when you start hearing 50 millions for de Ligt, you're like, where has this come from? But yeah, so apparently this week is going to be the big week for it. I know we keep being told that over and over again. Fabrizio says as well that apparently Manchester United have spoke to de Ligt and Mazraoui, and they've told them we will be back again. And it says that Bayern are aware of Manchester United's intentions to try again to sign them. And then he also goes on to say that Manchester United have been very clear they will bid again for Matthias de Ligt and Mazraoui. They have told the players' agents that they are prepared to attack to sign the players. So let's see what this attacking is. Because so far we've heard a lot of Man United are going to do this, they're going to do that, and then nothing happens. So yeah, we really, really need to see this attacking happen very, very quickly. You know? That attacking needs to happen now. Because we've got this game on Saturday, which in my opinion is big. Yeah, it's a big game on Saturday, and we need to win it, I think. We need to, you know, start the season as we mean to go on. And we can do that by beating Man City on Saturday. And I know some people are like, why do you care about this game? It's just a friendly. I think it's important. I do. And apparently Mazraoui is... Erik ten Hag's plan was to have him play in that game on Saturday. Now, he can only do that if he signed him, obviously. You can't have a player play if they're not your player. So he's going to have to act very quickly. Because I don't know how long... A medical usually takes like a day, doesn't it? So, yeah, they should be able to do it. It shouldn't be a problem. If they agree the deal today, then, you know, he could fly to Manchester tomorrow, do his medical and be in training on Wednesday. And then he could train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and play on Saturday. And obviously Erik ten Hag's worked with Mazraoui before. Mazraoui will know what Erik ten Hag expects, as in like his playing style, how he wants him to press, where he wants him to be on the pitch and all the rest of it. So it should be relatively quick for them to gel in. The same with de Ligt. Obviously, both Mazraoui and de Ligt played under Erik ten Hag at Ajax. So the transition period from being a Bayern Munich to a Manchester United player should be relatively quick, I think. There shouldn't be like issues because they've worked together before, you know? So, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens here. Let's see what people are saying in the chat, though, really, really quickly. Ant says, I'm worried that we're getting burned by Bayern. What happened to making a few bids and then walking away? That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. I've been very, very positive about Ineos. I've congratulated them. I've said that they've done very, very well. But you do make a good point there. And it's a good conversation to discuss because up to this point, Ineos have put in a bid. And if it's been rejected, they've walked away, right? And now, I think we're going to be up to the second or third bid by the time we get De Ligt. But if I'm being honest, £60 million for the two of them, €70 million. I don't think it's a bad deal. Is it a good deal? I wouldn't say it's an amazing deal, but it's not bad. I'd say it's like the absolute max that I'd want to pay for them. You know, as I said, if you look at it like 30 million for Mazraoui and 30 million for De Ligt, I honestly think that's fair market value. Like, if we want 20 million for Wan-Bissaka, who's got 1 year left of his contract and is going to leave Manchester United, then surely Mazraoui, who's got 4 years left on his contract, is worth 30 million, who's been part of the Bayern Munich squad, you know? Yeah. Craig says, I think we're getting them both below the market value. There you go. There you go. Ben says, Kieran, is it true that Mazraoui is going to fly from Saudi Arabia tonight and fly to Manchester tomorrow for his medical? So the Bayern Munich team is set to travel back from their pre-season tour of, I think they're in South Korea. So they're flying back tonight. Obviously, De Ligt didn't go. So, so that's going to happen today. And then apparently they'll fly to Manchester tomorrow. So I reckon we'll get the bids going in today, to be honest. I'd be absolutely shocked if that doesn't happen. Obviously, Manchester United need to sell some players. We know that. Mainu, the Golden Boy, says, where did you see the Fabrizio Romano quote? It's not on Twitter. Is it on YouTube? Yeah, it was on his YouTube channel last night. He was talking about the deals in length, and that's where those quotes are from. Yes. We've got over 1,100 people watching the show live now, guys, which is absolutely amazing. Please go and smash a like. We've only got 200 likes on the video, which is like a fifth of the amount of people who are watching. So if you are enjoying today's show so far, please do like. It helps to bring more people into the channel. And we are now only 90 subscribers away from 35k. If we hit 35k by the end of today's live stream, by the time I end it, I will give out some sort of gift. I don't know what it will be. Maybe a ticket to a game or something. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Digital Sports Update says £60 million is a fair price, but Bayern should give us a discount. We should buy them for around 55 million. Yeah, so I think it will be somewhere between 50 to 60 million is my guess. 60 million is what they want. Manchester United apparently want to pay 50. So it will be probably somewhere between 55 million. King Drac says, I thought you said today was the deal day. Where have I said that? I haven't said anywhere that Monday's the deal day. I've just said in my opinion, which is as valid as your opinion, that Manchester United will submit the new bids today. That's my opinion of it, right? Fabrizio Romano is the one who said that Man United will submit a second bid. Tier 1 journalist, probably the most reliable journalist in world football. He's confirmed that United are going to put in a second bid, right? And I'm saying, in my opinion, I expect them to put in the bid today. That's my opinion. Whether or not that will happen, only Ineos and Manchester United know. You know, no one's going to know exactly the time that the bid's going to go in. Not even Fabrizio will know that. But he wouldn't put out a story, Fabrizio, saying that a second bid's going to go in unless he'd been told a second bid was going to go in. But obviously, they're not going to share with him the exact minute of when that bid's going to go in. What else have we got? Geordie says, if we get 30 million for McTominay and 20 million for Wan-Bissaka, and then we pay 60 million for De Ligt and Mazraoui, we should take the deal and run. That's a fair point. Very fair point. Like, you do have to look at it like that, don't you? If you run through the three players that I spoke about at the beginning of the show, right? 30 million for McTominay, 10 million for, for Hannibal, and then around 20 million for Wan-Bissaka. That's 60 million total. And then you go and spend that 60 million on Mazraoui and De Ligt. Like, that's good business, I think. And that's effectively what Ineos are trying to do. They're trying to get people out the door before they bring in new people. And I respect that. I do. But we're getting close to the wire now, aren't we? We're getting close to the first game of the season, and there's only so long you can risk it. But yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't think it matters too much that the players didn't go on pre-season. I don't. Because last year we beat Liverpool 4-0 in pre-season and then we finished 8th. Like, pre-season means nothing. Pre-season is literally just a marketing exercise these days. All it is for clubs to make money. That is literally the purpose of pre-season. They make out it's to go and train and all the rest of it. But if that was the case, if Manchester United were putting performance and training and preparing for the season as the priority, they would stay in Manchester. They would have 2 weeks of training. They would play friendlies behind closed doors at Carrington. That's what they would do. And I bet you any money that Manchester United would have a better start to the season if they did that versus they went to America. They were flying all around America for games, different time zones, going out to meet fans, like doing marketing, promo things. It is just a marketing exercise to sell more shirts, to make more money. Like, that's the purpose of preseason. And I just think it means nothing really. So the most important bit is getting the players in this week, having a good week of training, another good week of training next week ahead of the Fulham game. So, yes. What else have we got? Robbie says the negotiations team should not have gone on the tour. I don't know. Maybe. It's impossible to tell. Just because you're in another country doesn't mean that you can work, All of their work is going to be on a laptop. It's not like they actually have to manually be somewhere to do it. They'll have their laptop, they'll have their phone. That's all you need to submit bids. You don't need to be exclusively in Manchester for them to be able to submit bids. And I actually think it was good that all of Dan Ashworth and that went on the pre-season tour, because at the end of the day, right, these people have only just started working together and they need to form a relationship and form a bond. And if they're all away together, they're eating together, they're having dinner together, they're doing everything together effectively for a week in a really intense way. That's the best way to form a bond, isn't it? Versus going into the office for 9 to 5, then going home to your separate homes. So I have no problem with them all going. And I think from a team building exercise, seeing Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox all over in the pre-season tour with Eric Ten Hag, I think that's going to be good for Manchester United. And yeah, that's my take on it anyway. Ben says, is there any news on Obi Martin? Apparently the Obi Martin medical is either today or tomorrow. So we should see pictures of that very, very soon. Geordie says, when is this transfer committee meeting happening? I think it's today, Let me see if I can check that. I'm pretty sure it said today, and it was in Madrid. Transfer. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes of that. Apparently Manchester United and Bayern Munich's representatives will be at this transfer meeting. Where is it? Yes, today in Madrid. So what this thing is, for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, in Madrid today, representatives from some of the top clubs in Europe, mainly in relation to us, Manchester United's representatives and Bayern Munich's representatives, are going to all be at this conference thing today, where the purpose of it is to try and push through transfers. So they're all going to go there. They will effectively have meetings with all of these other people who will all be in the same place at the same time. Kind of I don't know, I'm trying to make it a bit more understandable, kind of like a job fair. If you went to a job fair and you can go and speak to loads of different people, and kind of like that. Obviously that's not what it is, but it's an example. So they'll do that, they'll go there, and apparently Manchester United and Bayern have sent representatives. So the understanding is that if they're there, they're in the same room, then they can try and push through the De Ligt and Mazraoui deal. So hopefully that, hopefully we get the here we goes for both of them today. I feel like we need that as a fan base, because some people are getting really, really worried, which I think is maybe a little bit over the edge, but that's fine. That's up to you. Yeah, I've just explained that thing. Michael says, isn't it a bank holiday? No, it's not a bank holiday in the UK, mate. It's a bank holiday in Scotland, not in England or Wales or Ireland, just in Scotland. So, yeah. What else have we got here? Digital Sports Update says, do you know if the PSG representatives will be at this meeting? I'm not sure, to be honest, mate. The story I read said that Manchester United and Bayern Munich are going to be there. I don't know about... I don't know about PSG, to be honest with you. If I find out any more information, then I will let you know. Geordie says, we should have had this market fair for years. It's a great idea. Yeah, it's an amazing idea. I don't know how they've only just thought about it. It makes complete sense because, like, they can go there, right? And they can say, right, this summer we want to sell Jadon Sancho, McTominay, Lindelof, blah, blah, blah. Who's interested? And you can kind of then gauge from the room and from these meetings who's interested. You can get offers put in. Like, it doesn't have to be some mad, drawn-out thing where over, like, 12 weeks you're negotiating for a player. We literally thought De Ligt was going to become a Manchester United player after the Euros, didn't we? That was widely reported. Everybody was saying it. De Ligt to sign for Man United as soon as the Netherlands get knocked out. And we're now, like, 6 weeks later and he's still not signed. And that's probably just because of back and forth. Like, everything will be done on emails and phone calls. And you know how it is when you're negotiating for something, right? When you're negotiating, you don't want to reply to your email, like, immediately. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to seem like you're too keen. Like, it's like a game of poker, isn't it? It's the same as negotiating in anything, and it'll be same with football. They won't want to come across like they're desperate. Somebody in the chat saying, is it like a player auction? Yeah, I guess it is kind of like that. Yeah. But let's move over to... I'm seeing if there's any more comments about this. Rajiv says, does that not mean that other teams will enter the race to sign De Ligt then? De Ligt only wants Manchester United, apparently. That's what Fabrizio said, that he doesn't want any other club. He exclusively wants to come to Manchester United. So I would be very, very surprised if other people come in for him now. Glenn says it's kind of like the American draft day. Yeah, it's like that. Somebody says it's a car boot sale. I wouldn't go that far. Ben says, Kieran, have you got plans to do a watch along for the Community Shield game? Maybe. I'm not sure at the moment. I might be away. I'll obviously watch the game, but I might not be able to do a watch along. Okay, let's move over to Manuel Ugarte then quickly, shall we? Because I can see loads of people asking about that. So Fabrizio has come out in the last couple of hours, and he is saying that negotiations with PSG for Manuel Ugarte will take more time because of financial fair play and outgoings are important. He says Manchester United needs the balance on all of these things. Ugarte keeps waiting. So another frustrating one here. Until we sell players, Ugarte isn't coming effectively. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We have to sell to buy Ugarte, which is frustrating, but it makes sense realistically. And those players to sell, it's obvious. McTominay, first one. Hannibal, second one, and Eriksen, third one. 30 million for McTominay, 5 million for Eriksen, 10 million for Hannibal. That's 45 million there. That gets you Ugarte, probably, near enough. And then you bring through Toby Collier from the youth team to replace Hannibal, I guess, or to replace Eriksen. And then maybe you go and buy another midfielder later in the window, maybe like an Amrabat. So you go from a midfield options of Eriksen, McTominay, and Hannibal to Toby Collier, Manuel Ugarte, and Amrabat. But you need to get rid of McTominay, Hannibal, and Eriksen first. That's the problem. They're all... Well, Eriksen's on big wages, McTominay's on reasonable wages, and Hannibal isn't really on big wages. But all three of those players are on the last year of their contracts. So Manchester United need to desperately work on getting those three out of the club. And that will then open the door to bring in these new midfielders. And I know it's frustrating that this is happening later in the window, but there is still 3.5 weeks left. So, yeah, it is what it is. And I think being very, very blunt with you, even with the team that we have now, I'm expecting us to beat Fulham. You know, with a midfield three of Mainu, I would go with Mount and Bruno, we still should be beating Fulham. You know? Like, if you look at the squad that will most likely start the Fulham game, it will probably be Onana, Luke Shaw, Martinez, De Ligt, Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Mainu, Mason Mount, Ahmad on the right, Xerxes as the striker, and then either Rashford or Garnacho. Like, that team should be beating Fulham at home. I'm sorry. And people are like, oh, we need Ugarte, we need this, we need that. I don't think there's any excuses not to beat Fulham in that first game of the season. Whether you've got Ugarte or not, I think, yeah, that's my take on it anyway. So I know it's frustrating, and I know people feel like we need deals. Josh says, I thought you were getting tickets. Yeah, I was going to be going to the Community Shield, mate, but I can't anymore, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's a shame. United says, why is Fulham taking so long to submit the McTominay bid? They submitted a bid last week, mate, but it was rejected. So, again, it's like a game of poker, isn't it? It's who blinks first. And at the moment, Manchester United are negotiating with Fulham. They've told them how much they want, and now it's up to Fulham to decide whether they'll pay the money or not. People are saying that Dan Ashworth should do his best to get Casemiro out of the door. Yeah. I mean, how is he going to do that, though? I agree with you, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Very difficult. But we can hope. We can hope. Al says, does Erik ten Hag still have veto over transfers? Yes, he does. He does. Because the thing you have to remember is Erik ten Hag hasn't signed a new contract. All he's done is extended his contract. He's added the extra year. So his original contract had veto on transfers. So he has still got that veto, apparently. And that's probably why we're going for some of the players we're going for. Because so far, we've gone for Xerxes, De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Lenny Yoro. I think all of those players, apart from Lenny Yoro, were probably Erik ten Hag's picks. I think. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. Clifford says, how long will work permits take? I don't know. I can't imagine it being that long. Maybe a couple of days. I imagine they fast track them, don't they? Because effectively, if you have money, you can fast track things, can't you? Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, though, guys. It feels like a good time to end the show. I've gone through everything that I had planned. There's nobody getting any more comments in that I can see. I might have missed one. Somebody says, why are people showing disrespect to Eriksen? Nobody's showing disrespect to Eriksen, mate. No one. Not a single person in the chat. The fact of the matter with Eriksen is he has 1 year left of his contract. He's 32 years of age. He's on 150 grand a week. Surely the option, if we can move him on, is to move him on. If you can get 5 million for Eriksen, which is apparently what Manchester United want, then you sell him, don't you? We got him for nothing. He signed from Brentford as a free transfer. So when you add all of those things together, 1 year left, 150k a week wages, and that we could make a profit on him, clearly selling him is the obvious option, you know? But yeah, that's my take on it anyway. But Michael says the Saudi window is open until October. Yeah, it is, yeah. So there is the possibility that one of the Saudi clubs come in for Eriksen later on in the window. Maybe. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the show up here, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll be back at 1:30 for your lunchtime roundup. Have a lovely Monday, everybody, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.